Why are there so many misconceptions of China?
This is what China looks like. This is China right here. Damn.
When people go to China, they're usually shocked by how clean and organized it is. This is what the 113th largest city in the second poorest province looks like. High-rise buildings, luxury shops, beautiful street lighting, and cars everywhere. So why are people so surprised when they go? Well, there are two main reasons. The first is China has advanced significantly in the last few decades and has a strong commitment to modern infrastructure. This is Shanghai from 1990 to 2010, and then this is Shenzhen 30 years apart, and then check out high-speed rail maps and satellite images. Also, check out how they illuminate their buildings at night. But the second reason is how China is portrayed. Western media often portrays China through a lens of skepticism while ignoring all the positive developments they've made, which I think are worth acknowledging. But this could be what China wants. It was actually Deng's strategy. Hide your strength and bide your time. Why does China live on one side of the country? 94% of the population lives east of this line. The West has more land, but only 6% of the people. I think this is the most striking imbalance of any country on Earth. Look at the high-speed rail maps and universities, and check out what it looks like at night. This imaginary line was drawn in 1935 by Chinese geographer Hu Wanyang. But what's insane is despite all the change China has had, this 94-6 split has stayed the same. It mostly comes down to geography. West of the line you have deserts, mountains, and a harsher climate, and east of the line you have flatter land and a more moderate climate. The West has the Gobi Desert and the Tibet Plateau, and the East has rivers and fertile farmland. But the line also shows an ethnic divide. The West is home to most of China's diversity. You have groups like the Tibetans, the Uyghurs, and the Mongols, while the East is mostly Han Chinese. It's crazy that China has over 1 billion people, but in the West there's vast stretches of land with 0 people. Check this out. These are China's special economic zones, and it's how it went from communist to capitalist. China today is a lot more capitalist than people realize. Here's how it happened. In 1978, Deng Xiaoping inherited China from Mao. At the time, China was a full-fledged communist state, centrally planned and completely closed off. Deng wanted to go a different direction, but he knew he couldn't do it all at once, so he set up a few initial special economic zones on China's coast. He fenced them off and introduced capitalism, and surprisingly, it worked. These zones became major manufacturing hubs, and wealth creation and entrepreneurship was encouraged, which was a radical shift from the Mao era of thinking. With success, he gained political capital, and then he used that to expand these zones, and eventually they just became all of China. Visualizing China's economy. Check this out. China's economy is larger than 30 other Asian countries combined. It's hard to comprehend. China's economy is so strong that it shifted the world's economic center of gravity all the way back to Asia in just 20 years. What's crazy is just 60 years ago, China's economy was smaller than Italy's. Basically, what they've done is they became the world's factory. They're the world's largest manufacturer and exporter. This is how their GDP is broken down by sector, and you can see how industrial production dominates. It makes up 1/3 of their GDP. Phones, appliances, semiconductors, solar panels, but China also owns the global market in robotics and drones. China's GDP currently makes them the second largest economy globally, but it gets crazier if you consider PPP. PPP accounts for cost of living and looks at what you can actually buy with money earned in the country, and a dollar goes much farther in China. When you take this into account, China's economy is actually number 1 at 34 trillion compared to the US at 27 trillion. The best way to describe China's economy is that they consume a lot and they make everything. Episode 5, China's Trade Dominance. Check this out. In 2000, most countries traded with the USA, but now look at 2020. China has taken over. China is now the leading trading partner for 124 countries. In 2000, China shipped a lot of cheap toys and clothing, but now they ship higher value industries like tech, machinery, and cars. They are now the world's leading car exporter, and it's mostly EVs. They hold 62% of the global EV market share. In countries like Brazil, 82% of the EVs on the road are Chinese. China's trade with Latin America is insane. This shows the year each country switched to China as their top trading partner. The US still dominates trade with Mexico, but China is the top trading partner for everyone else. This is what it looks like from 2000 till now. Check out Africa from 2000 to 2020, and China's trade with Saudi Arabia exceeds the United States and Europe combined. In 2010, Australia shipped 5% of their total goods to China, but now it's 50%. Also, their trade relationship with Russia has exploded too. This is what it looks like in 2024. Last year, China totaled 6.2 trillion in global trade. Did you know China is the number 1 car exporter in the world? Look how fast they've accelerated since 2021, and it's mostly EVs. In fact, they hold 62% of the global EV market share, and they're not just cheap electric vehicles. Check out this electric SUV that can do 360s, and they can be fast. This is a $70,000 EV with 1,500 horsepower.
70,000?
Yeah.
And it's faster than my Lamborghini.
Unfortunately, it is.
And it's electric?
All right.
Oh!
So
Damn!
that's all.
Whoa!
They even have a water-capable electric Jeep. These are the world's top-selling EV brands in 2024. 6 out of 10 are Chinese, and BYD is higher than Tesla. This is the BYD electric car factory in China, and when complete, it will be larger than the city of San Francisco. BYD is planning on selling 5.5 million electric vehicles in 2025, and they have a cargo ship capable of shipping 9,000 at once. Here's what the automation looks like in Chinese electric car facilities. Another one of the top-selling Chinese EVs costs just $5,000, and it's becoming the #1 EV sold in Indonesia. Because of tariffs, none of these are available in America, but if you go to other countries, you will see a shocking number of Chinese electric cars on the road. Over 70% of the EVs in Brazil, Thailand, and Mexico are Chinese. China's global EV takeover is not going to stop anytime soon. Oh, and they also have flying EVs. Episode 7, China's battery dominance. Check this out. China has complete dominance in battery manufacturing. This is what it looked like in 2022, and it's going to increase 8 times by 2027, but 70% of it will be in China. This demand is driven by the rise of electric vehicles. It turns out China has 62% of the global EV market share, and to achieve this, they make an insane amount of batteries. 6 of the top 10 battery manufacturing companies are headquartered in China, and 1/3 of the world's EV batteries come from one Chinese company, CATL. They provide batteries to companies like Tesla, BMW, Volkswagen, and eventually Ford. Here's the Ford CEO saying you can't make a battery without China.
Made in one country. They own all the battery processing. You want graphite, you want lithium processed to put in a battery, automotive battery, a nickel, you need to go to China.
Here's the makeup of an EV battery cell. Most of it is the cathode, which determines the capacity and power. To make it, you need metals like lithium, cobalt, and nickel. And guess where most of these metals are processed? China. According to Bloomberg, the US and Europe will need to invest $100 billion each to meet domestic battery demands by 2030. So until then, most batteries will be made in China. Episode 8, the world's powerhouse. Check this out. In 2023, China generated over 8,000 terawatt hours of electricity, which is more than double the United States and 1/3 the world's total power. This breaks it down by source. You can see how China generates most of its electricity from coal. They actually generate more electricity from coal than the United States and Europe does from everything combined. But what's interesting is China is starting to generate less from coal and way more from nuclear, wind, solar, and hydropower. Meanwhile, the United States is on a trend of producing less electricity in every category. Here's China's electricity generation from solar compared to the United States, and they even have the world's largest solar farm that can power 6 million homes. This one's crazy. China's nuclear energy boom while Germany is completely phasing it out. China accounts for nearly half of nuclear construction in the world. They're building these Gen 4 nuclear reactors that has a gigawatt of production capacity. China also leads the world in hydropower. They have this dam that is insane. The Three Gorges Dam was completed in 2008 and is the world's largest hydroelectric power station, and it generates 100 terawatt hours a year. Here you can see how they generate the most electricity from wind out of every country, and check out their wind farm in the Gobi Desert, and they even have the world's largest wind turbine. This is how China generates electricity now and what it will look like in 2060. You can see how they're going to transition from coal to a lot of wind, nuclear, and solar. China generates the most electricity in the world, and the way it's looking, it's not going to change anytime soon.
It's really dancing!
Episode 9, Robotics. China is the world leader in robotics, and it's not even close. They make more robots than the rest of the world combined. They have a robot dog that's just $1,600. It's 40 times cheaper than the Boston Dynamics robot dog. And here's a video of the Chinese army walking a robo dog with a machine gun. Then they have humanoid robots that can do flips and dance. There's actually a flood of humanoid robots coming. Tesla has the Optimus robot, but several Chinese companies are doing the same thing, so it's gonna get crazy. Another crazy thing is China has these dark factories. They are fully robotic factories that can operate all day and all night, and they're 79% more efficient and 33% more cost effective. They move materials around autonomously, and humans basically just supervise it on screens. Oh, and they also have a robotic library with 5 million books. By the end of this year, China is targeting 500 robot workers for every 10,000 human workers. So that's going to be 35 million robots. China's all in robotics. Episode 10, China's Drone Armada. China has over 50 drone types in development and over 1 million kamikaze drones in production and even hypersonic drones. They have a hypersonic drone that can hit Mach 3 at over 100,000 feet, and they also have a stealth attack drone. They've made drone armies 10 times cheaper. They have combat drones that run 1 to 2 million apiece compared to 15 million for an American model. Another crazy thing is they can control 10,000 drones with one computer. This is a drone show where they broke the record with the most drones at once. Their drone shows are insane. Here's another one with a dragon above the city. They also have drones that deliver food for you. So how are they so far ahead? Well, the crazy thing is most of the drone components were invented in the United States, Japan, and Europe, but now they're almost all made in China. China became the country that could just build drones fast, and they scaled them, and now they control most of the drone supply chain. The Chinese drone company DJI is the world's largest drone manufacturer. They actually make over half the drones sold in the world. In 2013, DJI released the Phantom drone, and it was basically drone's iPhone moment. And since then, they've dominated, and it's really hard to beat them for the price. And mass drone manufacturing is going to become critical since the future of military is likely drone-on-drone warfare. And China is positioned pretty well for it. You probably don't want to see a Chinese drone swarm coming to your country in 2035. Episode 11, China's flying cars. Did you know China actually has flying cars? It's called eVTOL, electric vehicles with vertical takeoff and landing, and they're also self-driving. This is streamer iShowSpeed taking a ride in a flying car during his visit to China.
Holy shit.
So how did China get flying cars first? Well, one flying car model was actually designed in the West, but it was never able to get scaled because of European regulations. And now China has flying car companies licensed for use. This one's a combination of a car and flying drone priced at $280K. Here's another one that you wouldn't even know is a flying car if it was driving by you. The company said it's going to enter mass production in 2025. This one's a flying scooter. It's still a concept that's in development, but can you imagine? They're basically the futuristic flying taxis that you've seen in sci-fi movies coming to life. They're quiet, clean, and designed for urban travel, so think like flying Ubers or flying ambulances. They take off like helicopters, but are much smoother and quieter. And by 2030, there's going to be a lot of these in China. Episode 12, China's high-speed rail. Check out what China's high-speed rail network looked like in 2008 and what it looks like now. They have the largest high-speed rail network, more than the rest of the world combined. You can use China's high-speed rail to get from Beijing to Shanghai in just 4 hours. That's 800 miles, which is like going from New York to Chicago. They even have high-speed trains that don't have a driver. And not surprisingly, most of the world's fastest high-speed trains are in China. Check out this video of a Chinese high-speed rail train outpacing a regular train. So why do they have so many? Well, they build them very fast. They were able to build a high-speed rail train station in just 9 hours. Meanwhile, it takes the United States over 3 years to just upgrade a train station. China just knows how to build. They can build a 10-story building in just 1 day. Another reason they can build so fast is because they have a standardized design and they control every step of production, which can really lower the cost. Their high-speed rail network is 40,000 kilometers in length, and the rest of the world combined is less than 20,000. What's insane is they're also helping other countries build them under their Belt and Road Initiative. Indonesia now has a high-speed rail train, and they're going to continue building them. Also, check out this high-speed rail station that's being built, and it's going to be the largest in the world. China, episode 13, the world's tallest bridge. China built the world's tallest bridge in just 3 years. It's 2,050 feet tall, which is 2 Eiffel Towers stacked on top of each other. And check out the side view of this thing. Videos of the construction of this bridge are just insane. It's a suspension bridge that measures 2 miles in length, with the main span of the bridge being 1 mile long, and the cables holding up the bridge weigh 9,000 tons each. The Huazhong Bridge opens up this year and it costs $283 million, and it's going to cut travel time across the canyon from 90 minutes to just 2. And get this, China is turning the bridge into a huge tourist attraction. They're building a visitor center which will have private accommodations that overlook the bridge and the canyon. Visitors will be able to take a glass elevator up to the top of the tower, which will have a cafe. But what's crazier is the elevator will also take you under the bridge, and it's going to have this long walkway which will have glass floors and a restaurant. And at the end of the walkway will be the world's largest bungee jump. China wants to use the bridge to drive more tourism to Guizhou, this mountainous region in southwest China that has all these waterfalls and canyons. I'm not sure what's more impressive, the fact that they were able to build this in just 3 years, or that it cost only $283 million. Episode 14, China's insane shipbuilding. Check this out. China can build ships 200 times faster than the United States. China now technically has the world's largest navy. This is active warships by type. They have 234 compared to the United States at 219. And by 2030, China is projected to have 435 warships. This is the US Secretary of the Navy saying how one Chinese shipyard has more building capacity than the entire US Navy combined.
It means they have 13 shipyards. In some cases, their shipyard has more capacity. One shipyard has more capacity than all of our shipyards combined.
Just look at the size of these shipyards. Dozens of ships are being built at the same time. In 2023, more than half of the world's commercial shipbuilding came from China alone. Look at the amount of Chinese fishing ships just outside of Argentina in this video. And those are just commercial ships, but now they're cranking out military ones. They launched their third aircraft carrier, and it's very comparable to the United States supercarrier. And now they're working on a fourth one with nuclear capabilities. They're pumping out modern nuclear submarines too, and they have this Type 55 destroyer that is insane. It will be deployed along aircraft carriers, and it will serve as the main air defense command center. Another crazy thing is all commercial vessels made in China have to meet military standards, so if they want to convert their shipping fleet to a military fleet, they can. China, episode 15, the world's largest surveillance state. People have no idea how deep China's surveillance network really goes. They have over 800 million cameras. That's almost one for every person. But these aren't just regular cameras. It's an AI-powered system with facial recognition, and it's so advanced it can identify you based on how you walk. It's integrated into almost everything, like subways, schools, streets, and malls. Check out this guy visiting a park in Shenzhen.
And everything is nice until you realize there are security cameras everywhere.
Oh, and they even installed a version of Skynet on the moon. But it's not just about catching criminals. The network feeds into China's social credit system where your behavior can impact your freedom. If your score drops too low, you might lose access to the internet or not be able to travel or lose other basic services. It does sound pretty dystopian, but on the other side, there are some benefits. There basically is very little crime in China. People can leave their bikes unlocked or leave their packages unattended, and China has one of the lowest homicide rates in the world. I think it's interesting to think about the trade-offs because I believe that's where the future is going. What do you prefer? A highly centralized society like China where you're always watched but protected, or a decentralized society that's more chaotic but you have more personal freedoms?